You can't come in here!
I'm Dr. Marcus Chen. I work here. Look at my badge.
Badge could be fake. You don't look like a doctor. You're not getting in!
You know, sometimes the most unbelievable stories are the ones that feel the most real. And what I'm about to share with you today, it's one of those stories that makes you stop and think about the world we're living in. Picture this for a moment. A cold morning. The sun hasn't even risen yet. And a man stands at the entrance of a building where he's worked for over a decade. He's wearing his white coat. His ID badge hangs around his neck, clear as day. He's got his keys in his hand, keys that open doors in this very building. And just 12 hours ago, he was inside performing emergency heart surgery, holding someone's life in his hands. But today? Today he can't get in. Someone looks him in the eye and says, "You can't come in here." He responds, confused, "I'm Dr. Marcus Chen. I work here." "Look at my badge." "Badge could be fake," comes the reply. "You don't look like a doctor." The man, Dr. Marcus Chen, tries again. "I have surgery in 40 minutes. A patient is waiting. I'm calling my supervisor." "You're not getting in." Let that sink in for a moment. A doctor at his own hospital, where he's saved over 3,000 lives, and he can't get in. Before we dive in, tell me where you're watching from. Tap like and hit subscribe. Because here we don't just tell stories, we tell stories that stay with you. Now, let's go. I want you to understand something. Every single second of what happened that morning was being recorded. The hospital's entrance camera caught it all. And that footage? It would later be played in a courtroom. It would be seen by millions of people around the world. And it would cost that hospital $12 million. Stay with me, because this story, it gets deeper than you can imagine. Dr. Marcus Chen had worked at Riverside General Hospital in Georgia for 11 years. 11 years. Think about that for a second. That's longer than some people stay married. That's longer than most people keep the same car. 11 years of walking through those same doors day after day, saving lives. But Marcus wasn't just any doctor. He was a cardiologist, a heart specialist. The kind of doctor who opens up your chest when your heart stops working the way it should. The kind of doctor who has literally held a human heart in his hands more times than he can count. You want to know what it takes to become that kind of doctor? 4 years of medical school, 3 years of residency. Another 3 years of fellowship, that's 10 years of training after college. 10 years of late nights, early mornings, endless studying and learning how to save lives. 10 years of sacrifice. Marcus was 44 years old. He was married to a woman named Elena. They had 2 children, a boy who was 12 and a girl who was 9. He drove a gray sedan, nothing fancy. He lived in a nice neighborhood. He paid his taxes on time. On weekends, he coached Little League Baseball. He was the kind of dad who showed up to every game, who cheered the loudest, who taught kids that hard work and dedication matter. By every measure, every single measure, Marcus Chen was a successful, respectable, law-abiding citizen. But on the morning of November 8th, 2021, none of that mattered. Marcus woke up at 5:30 that morning. He had a surgery scheduled for 7 a.m. A patient named Robert Harrington needed emergency bypass surgery. Robert was 63 years old. He'd suffered a heart attack 2 days earlier. His arteries were severely blocked, the kind of blockage that kills you if it's not fixed. Without surgery, Robert would die within the week. Marcus was the surgeon assigned to save his life. So Marcus got dressed in his home that morning. He put on his regular clothes. He'd change into his scrubs at the hospital like he always did. He grabbed his white doctor's coat from the closet, the one he'd worn 1,000 times before. He clipped his hospital ID badge to the front pocket. The badge had his photo on it, his full name printed in big, clear letters. The word Cardiologist right underneath. And a barcode that worked with every single door in the hospital. He drove to work. The sun wasn't even up yet. The roads were empty. That quiet kind of empty that makes you feel like you're the only person awake in the whole world. He pulled into the hospital parking lot at 6:15 in the morning, parked in the doctor's designated area like always, and he walked toward the main entrance. This was a walk he'd done thousands of times before. Literally thousands. He could do it with his eyes closed. But this morning was different. Kevin Torres was the security guard on duty at the main entrance. Kevin was 31 years old. He'd worked at the hospital for just 8 months. Before this job, he'd worked at a warehouse. Before that, a retail store. He had no formal security training, none. The hospital hired him because they were short-staffed and he was available. Kevin sat at the security desk near the front door. His job was simple. Check badges, let people in, call for help if there's a problem. That was it. Nothing complicated. When Marcus Chen walked toward the entrance that morning, Kevin stood up from his chair. He watched Marcus approach. Marcus was wearing his white coat. His ID badge was clearly visible, right there on his chest. He was walking calmly, not running, not acting suspicious. Just walking like a normal person going to work. Marcus reached for the door, and before he could even touch it, Kevin stepped in front of him. Kevin told Marcus he couldn't enter the building. Marcus was confused. "Why not?" he asked. Kevin looked at him and said, "You don't look like a doctor." Let me repeat that. A man wearing a white doctor's coat, with a hospital ID badge around his neck, with his name and title clearly printed, was told he didn't look like a doctor. Marcus pointed to his ID badge. He showed Kevin his name. He showed him his photo. He showed him the word Cardiologist printed right there in black letters. Kevin didn't care. Kevin said the badge could be fake. He said anyone could buy a white coat online. He said he needed to call his supervisor to verify. Marcus tried to explain. "I have surgery in less than an hour," he said. "A patient is waiting. A man's life is on the line. I need to get inside right now." Kevin didn't move. Now, if you're following this story and you can't believe what you're hearing, if you're sitting there thinking, this can't be real, I want you to know that I felt the exact same way when I first heard about it. But stay with me, because what happens next? It proves that this wasn't just a misunderstanding. Marcus pulled out his phone. He called the hospital's main desk. He asked them to confirm his identity, to tell the security guard that yes, this is Dr. Marcus Chen, and yes, he works here. The receptionist answered. Her name was Linda Morrison. She'd worked with Marcus for 7 years. She knew his voice immediately, the way you know the voice of someone you've talked to 100 times. Linda told Kevin through the phone, "This is Dr. Marcus Chen. He's one of our most respected cardiologists." Kevin still didn't let Marcus inside. Kevin said he needed confirmation in person. He said phone calls could be faked. He said he was just doing his job. But what happened next proved that Kevin wasn't just doing his job. While Marcus was standing outside, still locked out, still trying to get to his patient, another doctor walked up to the entrance. This doctor was white. This doctor wasn't wearing a white coat. Didn't have his ID badge visible. He was wearing a hoodie and jeans. He looked like he'd just rolled out of bed. Kevin didn't stop him. Kevin smiled at this white doctor. He held the door open for him, said good morning, like they were old friends, and let him walk right in without asking a single question. Not one. Marcus saw all of this happen, right in front of his eyes. "Why did you let that doctor in without checking anything?" Marcus asked. Kevin said he knew that doctor. "How do you know him?" Marcus asked. Kevin couldn't answer, because the truth was, Kevin had never met that white doctor before. His name was Thomas Bradford. He'd only been working at the hospital for 3 weeks. He was a new resident. There was no way, no possible way, Kevin could have known him. Kevin had just assumed Thomas was a doctor because of the color of his skin. By now it was 6:45 in the morning. Marcus had been standing outside for 30 minutes. His surgery was supposed to start at 7. A man named Robert Harrington was in a hospital bed upstairs with a failing heart, counting on Marcus to save his life. And Marcus was stuck outside, being treated like a criminal. Kevin finally called his supervisor. Her name was Angela Rivera. She was the head of hospital security, had worked there for 15 years. When she heard what was happening, she rushed to the front entrance. Angela arrived at 6:52. She saw Marcus standing outside. She saw Kevin blocking the door, and she immediately recognized Marcus. Everyone knew Dr. Marcus Chen. He was one of the best cardiologists in the entire state. Angela apologized to Marcus. She let him inside right away, told Kevin to step aside. Marcus ran to the elevator, changed into his scrubs in 3 minutes flat, rushed to the operating room, and started the surgery at 7:18. He was 18 minutes late, but he saved Robert Harrington's life. The surgery was successful, but Marcus couldn't stop thinking about what had just happened to him. After the surgery, Marcus filed a formal complaint with the hospital's Human Resources Department. He explained everything. He named Kevin Torres as the security guard who blocked him. He described the incident in detail. He mentioned how the white doctor had been let in without any questions. The hospital's response was slow. Too slow. HR said they would investigate. They said they'd get back to him in a few days. They told him to be patient. Like this was just some minor misunderstanding. Like it didn't matter that a surgeon had almost missed life-saving surgery because of what happened at that door. Marcus was patient. He waited 1 day, then 2 days, then a full week. Nothing happened. On day 8, Marcus's lawyer reached out to the hospital and requested the security footage from the entrance camera. The hospital tried to refuse. They said the footage was private property, said it was against policy to release security recordings. Marcus's lawyer filed a court order. A judge approved the request, and the hospital had no choice. They had to hand over the video. When Marcus and his lawyer watched that footage, their jaws dropped. The security camera had captured everything. It showed Marcus arriving at the door at 6:15. It showed Kevin blocking him. It showed Marcus pointing to his badge, explaining, pleading. It showed the entire conversation between the two men. But most importantly, it showed what Kevin did after Marcus finally got inside. Kevin walked back to his desk, sat down in his chair, and he started laughing. He was laughing with another security guard, making gestures, clearly making fun of what had just happened. The audio wasn't perfectly clear, but lip readers later confirmed what Kevin said. He made a racist joke about Marcus. He used a racial slur. He said he was proud that he made Marcus wait outside. This wasn't a case of a security guard being careful. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This wasn't just doing his job. This was intentional. This was deliberate. This was racism, plain and simple. Marcus's lawyer filed a lawsuit against the hospital. The lawsuit named Kevin Torres as the primary defendant. It also named Riverside General Hospital as responsible for Kevin's actions. The lawsuit accused the hospital of failing to properly train their security staff, of creating a hostile work environment, of racial discrimination. The hospital tried to settle the case quietly. They offered Marcus $50,000 to make it all go away. Marcus refused. They raised the offer to $100,000. Marcus refused again. They went up to $500,000. Marcus still said no, because Marcus didn't want money. Marcus wanted justice. He wanted the whole world to see what had happened to him. He wanted to make sure this never happened to another doctor again. Not to anyone who looked like him. Not to anyone who didn't fit someone's narrow idea of what a doctor should look like. The trial began in June 2023. It lasted for 3 weeks. The courtroom was packed every single day. News cameras waited outside. Reporters from every major network covered the story. This wasn't just a local story anymore. It had become a national conversation about race, about discrimination, about who gets believed and who gets questioned in America. The prosecution played the security footage for the jury. They showed it once. Then they showed it again. Then they showed it in slow motion. Every single juror watched Kevin block Marcus from entering. Every single juror watched the white doctor walk right in without any questions. Every single juror watched Kevin laughing at his desk afterward. The defense tried to argue that Kevin was just following protocol, that security guards are trained to verify identities, that Kevin didn't know Marcus personally, that there was no way to prove Kevin's actions were motivated by race. But the prosecution had more evidence. They called witnesses, other employees from the hospital who had experienced similar treatment from Kevin. A nurse named Jasmine Taylor testified that Kevin had once asked her if she was really a nurse or just pretending. A janitor testified that Kevin always checked his badge but never checked the badges of white janitors. The pattern was clear. Kevin treated people differently based on the color of their skin. The prosecution also brought in an expert witness on racial discrimination in the workplace. The expert explained how unconscious bias works, how some people treat others differently based on skin color without even realizing it. But the expert also said that Kevin's behavior went beyond unconscious bias. Kevin knew exactly what he was doing. The laughing and joking afterward proved it. Kevin testified in his own defense. It was a disaster. Kevin claimed he didn't remember the incident clearly, said he treated everyone the same way, said he was just doing his job. When the prosecutor showed him the video of himself laughing, Kevin said he didn't remember why he was laughing. Couldn't explain the racist joke. Couldn't explain why he let the white doctor in without checking anything. The jury didn't believe him. After 3 weeks of testimony, the jury went to deliberate. They came back with a verdict in less than 4 hours. That's extremely fast for a case this big. The verdict was guilty. Kevin Torres was found guilty of racial discrimination. Riverside General Hospital was found guilty of negligence and creating a hostile work environment. The jury awarded Marcus Chen $12 million in damages, $8 million for emotional distress and suffering, $4 million in punitive damages to punish the hospital for allowing this to happen. When the verdict was read, Marcus broke down in tears. His wife Elena was sitting behind him in the courtroom. She was crying too. 11 years of dedicated service to that hospital. 11 years of saving lives, of working late nights and early mornings, of missing family dinners to be there for patients who needed him. And he'd been treated like a criminal at the front door. Now, finally, justice had been served. Kevin Torres was fired immediately after the verdict. The hospital had no choice. Keeping him on staff would have been a public relations disaster. His name became known across the country. He couldn't find another job in security. No company wanted to be associated with him. The hospital issued a public apology. They said they were deeply sorry for what happened to Dr. Marcus Chen. They promised to implement new training programs for all security staff. Said they'd review their hiring practices. Said they were committed to creating an inclusive environment for everyone. But many people felt the apology came too late. The hospital had months to fix the situation before it went to trial. They could have fired Kevin immediately after the incident. They could have offered Marcus a real apology instead of trying to pay him off quietly. They chose to protect themselves instead of doing the right thing. The $12 million verdict sent shockwaves through the medical industry. Hospitals across the country started reviewing their own security policies. They started requiring diversity training for all employees. They started taking discrimination complaints more seriously. Marcus used part of the money to set up a scholarship fund for students from underrepresented communities in medicine. He wanted to help more people become doctors. He wanted to show young people that they could achieve anything they dreamed of, even if some people would try to stop them along the way. Marcus also became an advocate for workplace equality. He gave speeches at medical conferences. He spoke on news programs. He told his story over and over again so that people would understand what professionals face every single day. The assumptions, the questioning, the having to prove yourself in ways that others never have to. The security footage that captured the whole incident was eventually released to the public. It went viral within hours. Millions of people watched a respected cardiologist being blocked from his own workplace. Millions of people saw the white doctor walk right in without a single question. Millions of people watched Kevin laughing at his desk. The comments exploded. People were outraged. People were heartbroken. People shared their own stories of being treated differently because of how they looked, where they came from, what language they spoke. The video started a conversation that spread far beyond just this one incident. Some people criticized Marcus for suing. They said he should have just moved on. Said he was looking for money. Said he was making everything about race. But those people missed the point entirely. Marcus didn't sue for money. He sued because what happened to him was wrong. He sued because if he stayed silent, it would happen to someone else. He sued because the hospital needed to be held accountable for hiring someone like Kevin and doing nothing when complaints were filed. And Marcus won. The jury agreed with him. The evidence supported him. The law was on his side. Kevin Torres never apologized publicly. Never admitted that what he did was wrong. He disappeared from public view after the trial. Some reports say he moved to another state. Some reports say he still denies that he did anything racist. It doesn't matter what Kevin thinks. The court decided. The jury decided. The video speaks for itself. What happened to Dr. Marcus Chen should never happen to anyone. No doctor should be blocked from saving a patient's life because of the color of their skin. No professional should be treated like a criminal at their own workplace. No human being should be laughed at and mocked simply for existing, simply for showing up, simply for trying to do their job. This story is a reminder that discrimination isn't just something from history books. It happens today. It happens in hospitals. It happens in offices. It happens in schools. It happens in grocery stores and coffee shops and on street corners. It happens everywhere. But this story is also a reminder that justice is possible. When people stand up for themselves, when they refuse to be silenced, when they demand accountability, change can happen. Marcus Chen didn't let Kevin Torres get away with what he did. Marcus fought back, and he won. You know what I think about when I hear this story? I think about Robert Harrington, the patient who was lying in that hospital bed waiting for surgery, not knowing that the doctor who was supposed to save his life was being blocked at the front door. I think about how close we came to a different ending. One where Marcus didn't get inside in time, where Robert didn't make it, where a man died because of someone's prejudice. I think about all the other Marcus Chens out there, the doctors, the lawyers, the teachers, the engineers, the people who worked their entire lives to get where they are, only to have someone look at them and say, "You don't belong here?" And I think about change. Real change doesn't happen because people are comfortable. It happens because people like Marcus refuse to accept injustice. It happens because they stand up, speak out, and fight back, even when it's hard, even when it's painful, even when people tell them to just let it go. That $12 million? It wasn't just money, it was a message. A message to every hospital, every workplace, every institution in this country. This will not be tolerated. Discrimination has consequences, and those consequences are real. If this story moved you, I hope you'll share it. I hope you'll talk about it. I hope you'll think about it the next time you see someone being treated unfairly, the next time you witness discrimination, the next time you have the choice to speak up or stay silent. Because stories like this, they matter. They remind us that we still have work to do, that we still have progress to make. That justice isn't something that just happens. It's something we have to fight for every single day. Dr. Marcus Chen fought, and he won. And maybe, just maybe, his victory made it a little bit easier for the next person who faces that same door. That same question, that same doubt. Maybe his story opened a door that will never close again. Thank you for listening. Thank you for caring. And thank you for being part of the conversation that moves us all forward. This is a story that needed to be told, and now it's been heard. If this story touched you in any way, don't keep it to yourself. Like it, share it with someone who needs it, and subscribe for more stories that speak to the soul. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next one.